Hello everyone, in this video I'm gonna show you to integrate GitHub authentication using Django and React.js. In the previous video, I demonstrated to implement Google authentication. So if you haven't seen that video yet, please have a look at that. So we are gonna work on the same project where we implement a Google authentication. So before moving into the code, let me show you quick demo of this project. So this is the GitHub account that I'm gonna use to register user, which has the username B1 and profile picture. So now let me click on sign in with the GitHub. Now it asks to authorize. So authorize Bhuvan Pandey. So the reason it say authorize Bhuvan Pandey is that I'm creating this OAuth application. The name of the OAuth application is the social auth within the Bhuvan Pandey GitHub account. So that's the reason it say authorize Bhuvan Pandey. I will show you how you can create the OAuth application. Now let me click on authorize Bhuvan Pandey. Now it's now you can see the user is registered successfully, and it show the user details like username and profile picture are the same as the GitHub account. So for this GitHub account, there is no public email account, so that's the reason the value of email is null. Now let me click on sign out. Now user is get sign out and it's a redirect to login page. Now let me go to admin panel to see whether user registered or not. So inside the user, you can see the user is registered. Now let me click on social account. Now you can see the B1 is registered through GitHub. So, and another one is a B1 which is registered through the Google. So that's the reason we can see the GitHub and Google here. Now let's dive into the code. As I already told you that I'm going to work on the same project where I implemented Google authentication. Now let me click on Backend Auth, and inside the Backend Auth, now let me click on setting.py file where I'm going to add GitHub provider. Now let me create a view for GitHub login, just like I did for Google. So actually the callback URL for a Google login is localhost 3000. So GitHub login is also the same. So now let me change its name to some suitable one. Now let me add the endpoint for this view. Yeah, my server is running. Let me see does this endpoint is working or not. So like it's working. Now let me create client ID and client secret, just like we did for Google. So to create the client ID and client secret, now let me visit to GitHub account. Now let me click on profile picture, and now let me click on setting, and now let me click on save developer setting, and to create OAuth application, click on OAuth apps, and now let me click on new OAuth app. So where you can provide application name, and for the homepage URL, you can write 127 port 8000. And for the authorized callback URL, you can write localhost 3000, like localhost. Let me copy and uh, just like this. And uh, after formatting all this data, you can click on register application. But now let me click on cancel. I already created Oauth application. As you can see, the social auth. After registering the OAuth application, you can get client ID and you can generate the client secret by clicking on generate a new client secret. And after getting the client ID and the client secret, now let me create social application. And now let me select GitHub. Let me give the name Django React GitHub Auth. Now let me provide client ID. Now let me provide client secret and you have to choose site. Now let me click on this one and now let me click on save. Now you can create, now social application is created. Now let me show you one thing that when user is registered through GitHub account or Google, at the time the social account is also created for that user. So as you can see, we register through GitHub account. So at the time B1 user is created along with the social account for that B1 is also created. So now let me click on this. So inside the extra data, the profile URL of that this user is saved inside avatar URL, but in the when user is registered through Google account at the time, that profile URL is inside picture field. So now let me customize the signal according to that. So in the signal, let me update create profile avatar function. So let me copy this. Now let me change it to the avatar URL. Created GitHub login. So in the GitHub login, we need either access token or core. We can get the core after calling a URL. So now we have a URL. This is a URL that we are going to call to get core. So here you can replace your client ID with the client ID that you get from Oauth application. Client ID and the redirect URL is localhost 3000. Now let me press enter. Now you can see it asks to authorize um, the social auth. Now let me click on authorize Bhuvan Pandey. Now it's redirect to localhost 3000 with code. So this is the code that we're gonna pass into this endpoint. So now let me click. Now let me copy this code and now let me paste over here and now let me click on post. So you can see we get an error, the type error at GitHub login. Actually, this error is from DZAS auth package. So now let me first of all, now let me uninstall this package. First of all, if uninstall DZAS auth, yes. Actually, I resolve this issue in this branch, remove scope argument. Now let me import that branch here. So now it's successfully installed that changes that is done into that branch. Now let me run the server by with Python and start by run the server. Now let me refresh this page and now let me copy this code again and now let me pass over here. I click on boost. Now you can see we can get access and refresh token. Now let me call a user info URL to check it out whether this access token work or not. Now let me handle this scenario from front end. For that, now let me go to front end project and now let me click on login.jsx. Now let me create our GitHub. Let me run the server. Now let me see. Now let me refresh the page. So as you can see, this button is not shown nicely. Now let me forward the styling for this. Actually, let me forward the style for auth button. So inside index.jsx, now let me forward the style for this class. Now let me save this. And for the button, style is equal to background view. Let me now it's look pretty good. Now let me provide GitHub link. Our GitHub link is now let me copy that GitHub link and paste it over here. Just like the Google login, we need the GitHub login. Now let me create the environment variable for a GitHub login. GitHub and GitHub. Now when I click on sign in with GitHub, now you can see it's so it asks to authorize the social auth. So up till it's working. Now let's handle the scenario when it's redirect to localhost 3000 along with code query parameter. Then we're gonna call this endpoint and send the code along with it. Now let's handle that scenario. So inside the home.jsx, now let me get code from the code query parameter. The value query parameter is assigned to this code variable. Now let me, so here we have a condition that if access token is present, then we gonna call handle Google login. So I want to add another condition that if user is signing with GitHub, in that case, I want to call this function. So for that, whether access token or either the code. So let me add the condition that this function is called when there is access token or the code. So here for handling the Google login, we call this function which have URL Google login API as well as we send a request with access token and access token. But for the GitHub, it would be GitHub login API, and for the request, it should be code instead of access token. Now let me update according to that. So here we have a condition that if access token, then the it would be the URL which is the Google login API, and the request is that we want to pass into this endpoint. And if there is no access token, in that case, it would be core. So we gonna this value be GitHub login API, and the request be the code uh, along with the code. So now let me define the GitHub login API here. Let me now let me pass this value into this function, and now it should be props. And now let me take the URL, and now let me the text the request. Let me save this. So now let me change this name to handle login. Let me save this. Now let me test it out whether it worked or not. Now let me refresh this page, and now let me first of all let me share the backend service running and the front end service running. Now let me refresh this page again, and now let me click on sign in with GitHub, and let me click on authorize. So you can see it is uh, running successfully. So in this way, you can create a GitHub authentication using Django and React.js. Now let me click on sign out. So if you have any doubt regarding this video, please comment below. And if you like this video, please give a thumbs up. And thank you for watching, guys.